Hi, I'm Craig Case, host of Wine Country, and today we're back with Katie Grassini in the tasting room down at the El Paseo. Last week we had a great conversation. We toured the vineyard, tasted some great wines, and here we are back again.
Yep, it's great to be back.
Good, good. So tell us about your personal history with winemaking and the industry.
Sure. So I took sort of a circuitous route. Like I said, my parents bought the land up in the 1980s, and so I have a lot of memories running around there as a little kid, kind of, just running around in the brush and sitting by the pond and just really enjoying our time up there. But it took a while for the wine industry to kind of develop and for our family to get caught up in it. So I started out after college being a snowboard instructor up in Lake Tahoe, ski and snowboard and just living a good little life up there in Tahoe. And then eventually deciding I needed to, be mature and grown up and get a real job. And so I went to law school, and I went to law school in Washington, D.C. on the East Coast. Had a great time out there, just really learned a lot. The school that I went to was just a few blocks from the Supreme Court, so I could go, it was just very inspiring and wonderful to be out there and kind of get a taste of city life. And then decided that was plenty and came back down here, practiced law for a few years with my dad, and then right around the time I realized it just wasn't a sustainable future for me. I was not able to leave the law at the office, and I was just really, I could see the burnout coming. And I sat down and had an honest conversation with my parents about it, and they were very supportive and just wanted me to do something that was going to make me happy. And right around the same time, I started talking to my dad and saying, how's things going with that winery? We started building that when I was, in law school. What's happening? He said, oh, we're so excited, we've got wine now, and we're going to start designing labels and bottles. And I said, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Can I help with that? And he said, well, I'm sure there's something that you can do. So we first started, my first foray into it was helping getting all the licensing that we needed in order to be a properly legally operating winery. And one aspect of the wine industry that's not many people know about, but that's really boring, is how many licenses and permits you need from just all aspects, from the creation and the building of the winery to you need licensing from the federal government, you need licensing from the state government. If you want to ship your wine to any state, as kind of the remnants of prohibition law, each state has different rules about how you can ship to it and whether or not you can ship to it, and you need a license for each state. So that was sort of my first crossover into it, was helping out with the legal side of things. And I thought it was fascinating and interesting. And then from there, I went through my first harvest and just absolutely fell in love with the agricultural side of it. And again, the people, meeting the vineyard workers and seeing what they go through every day, how hard they work making this amazing product. And just seeing the science that goes into the winemaking and the artistic side of it as well. It's a really complicated, beautiful product, and it captured me. And so it didn't take long before I was offering my services to my parents and saying, I think I want to get out of depositions and into tasting rooms.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Certainly a different way to live,
yeah.
isn't it?
It's not, everybody's got their own route, but it worked for me.
Well, good. So for your family, this is a passion. Who else is involved from your family in the business?
Sure, absolutely. Well, the entire family is definitely involved in quality control. They're always, whenever tasting or blending or anything like that comes up, there is no shortage of volunteers, of folks that want to help with that aspect. My parents are involved, every day. My dad's up there constantly. I have a couple nephews and nieces, and they're all running around. So Dad has a good time bringing the kids up and showing them the chickens and running around on the tractor with them. And then as far as my siblings, my sister Mandy was involved quite a bit in the beginning with helping with sales and marketing and getting our name out there. And she is actually now at home with her son. And she married a winemaker who's also in the industry here in Santa Barbara. So she's very much involved in the winemaking industry as well, but mostly home with the babies. And then my other sister, Corey, is, she started as a fashion and interior designer and now lives here she has 2 children who are only 15 months apart.
Oh.
So, and just barely 3 is the oldest one. So she has got her hands full with them. But she was instrumental in actually designing this tasting room. This whole tasting room here is her vision, and we could not have done it without her. She's, if I had been in charge, there would be a lot more IKEA furniture. It would not have the same feel at all. So she really brought this to life and kind of brought pieces of the vineyard and the family into this space. And then my sister Molly, I'm very proud of her. She's actually at USC. She's in there. She's doing her residency right now to be an emergency room doctor.
Oh.
So yes, so she's very involved in the resveratrol and all that red wine, the medical aspects of red wine. So someday she'll do a flu shot clinic in the corner, and that will be her involvement.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Good. So a family business for sure.
Yes, yeah,
good.
Everyone's very supportive, and we, it's just wonderful to have this space here where we can have events and get the family together for gatherings. We go up to the winery and we'll do Mother's Day or different birthdays up there, out by the pond or inside the winery. It's a nice little family option.
Good, good. Well, we're going to do some tasting here, but first, why don't we go back to the vineyard and do some more touring around there?
Sounds like a good plan to me.
All right, let's go. At Ablett's Fine Cleaners, we keep you looking good while making your life easier. The Ablett's family has been in the dry cleaning business for over 100 years and offers services customized to meet your desires, including pickup and delivery, because we know your time is valuable. Download our mobile app to receive a quote, schedule services, or check on the status of your order. Join our executive club for fast transactions and loyalty rewards. Ablett's Fine Cleaners, where you matter most. CPAs are known for doing things by the numbers, but Walpole & Company goes beyond the numbers, building strong, enduring relationships and providing consistent sound judgment and advice, wealth management services, and accounting software consulting. Because Walpole is deeply committed to the success of every client. It's the Walpole way. Extraordinary service from a truly extraordinary organization. Walpole & Company CPAs, service beyond the numbers. In a valley rich with history, there stands a restaurant where history is made every night. From the never-ceasing oak pit to the bar that made a film iconic, the Hitching Post 2 features a style of cooking that goes back to the days of the Spanish rancheros with a contemporary flair. Paired with a glass of Hartley Ostini Hitching Post wine, a meal here is a meal that is never forgotten. The Hitching Post 2 in Buellton, California. Come make your own history.
Construction is underway for the Arlington Village Apartments complex, adjacent to the historic Arlington Theater. Hello, I'm Earl Armstrong. Armstrong Associates is proud to add the construction of the Arlington Village Apartments complex to our award-winning portfolio of community assets. And we invite you to learn more about why we were recently ranked in the top 5 general contractors in the Tri-County area and one of the 20 fastest growing companies on the Central Coast.
Well, we're back back at the vineyard in Happy Canyon, and obviously we're in the barrel room. Katie, why don't you describe what we're featuring here?
Yeah, so we're in the red barrel room right now. We have two barrel rooms. We have a smaller room that's got all of our white wines in it, where they do their resting before they're ready to go. And then this is the larger of the two rooms. This is our barrel room, where we're able to hold two vintages. All the barrels on this side are the 2016s, and then we've got the 2017s on the other side. When my parents built the winery, they really wanted to keep an eye on sustainability and make the smallest impact on the land that they could. So a lot of that is built into the winery here, and a lot of that's evident in this room, where the actual walls themselves are part of it. So my parents actually dug out some of the hillside and then built the winery into that dugout section. So the ground kind of keeps it a lot cooler and moist down here. It also, all the walls are poured in place concrete. They're about 2 to 3 feet thick in different parts, so that really keeps it nice and cool down here, which you can feel. It's nice and hot outside in the vineyard, but nice and cool in here. We also implemented a night air system recently, which has been fantastic, where, out here in Happy Canyon, we get these crazy huge temperature shifts. During the day, it'll be 90 to 100 degrees, and then at night it can be down into the 40s and 50s. So we take advantage of that, and we actually have a system that kicks on when the temperature gets to a certain coolness at night, and it opens some vents and some fans and pulls that cold night air in and pushes out the warm air. And since we've implemented that, we've been able to see a lot less the fans turning on during the day, and it just really captures that cool air and keeps it nice and cool down here for Brad and his wines.
Absolutely.
Well, good. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So, Brad, what are we looking at here? Do some tasting?
Yeah, we'll taste some Cabernet Sauvignon. Like Katie said, this is our 2016 vintage. I'm actually getting ready to go through all of my blending trials and see what's going to go where for bottling here in the next couple of months.
This is my favorite part of the winemaking process.
The tasting?
Yes. It's the part that I really excel at.
You have your own wine thief?
Not yet, no. I'm not trusted with the tools of the trade.
The wines, the fruit that make the wines here is just absolutely stunning. We have very little issues with extracting beautiful color, as you can see, and the fruit expression is just is gorgeous. I try to show the fruit as much as possible and do as little to the wines. As the old saying goes, great wines are made in the vineyard. So we have a big focus on our vineyard practices, and to where it makes my job a lot easier here in the winery.
Why don't you describe the aromatics in this?
Absolutely. I think there's quite a bit of dark fruit on this, a bit of plum, ripe raspberry, ripe strawberries, a little bit of tobacco and chocolate as well. And I think some of that chocolate and ripe raspberry kind of rolls over across the palate too.
Very nice. I like that.
Thank you.
Very nice.
He knows what he's doing.
Yes. So when will the bottling of this take place?
So I'll be bottling this vintage probably mid to late June, and it spends about 20 to 22 months in barrel. And the barrel aging really helps open up the wines, develops them actually through the barrel staves with a micro-oxidation effect. And it's a very similar effect that we have with corks in the wine bottles. So it adds a little bit of air, allows a little bit of air to permeate through to the wines, and really develops the wine over time.
And then how quick to market do you go with the bottling?
Typically for our red wines, we do 2 years in barrel, 1 year in bottle, and then out to the consumer. We've got a couple of programs that go out a little bit sooner, within about 6 or 8 months after bottling.
Good.
We don't rush anything.
No.
No wine before it's time.
Exactly.
Exactly. I want the wines to really express themselves fully from how they're tasting right now after laying down for a couple of years, and then through the filtration process and bottling, it kind of jostles them up and makes them a little bit tight. So they're not quite as expressed the same way. So that time in bottle really helps the wines bounce back and get to this point here for the consumer.
Mm-hmm. And what would you think about pairing with this wine?
Sure. These wines they're very food-friendly wines. The wines that we make here tend to be fairly big in structure. They hold up to racks of lamb and big steaks, and then also great for desserts with chocolates and truffles and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Good. And with the tobacco, a good cigar.
Absolutely.
Good.
Nothing like a good stogie.
It's true. Well, thank you, Bradley, for sharing with us and spending time with us and for tasting some great wine with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We enjoyed that very much. Katie, why don't we head back to Santa Barbara to the tasting room and enjoy some of the bottled wine?
I like that plan. Let's do it.
All right, let's go.
The Tobes Group welcomes you home to your place for friends, for family, your place to relax, exercise. Discover the Tobes quality life, spacious living and amenities designed with you in mind. Move up to someplace more. You move up to Tobes. More than apartments, a lifestyle you can afford. From the Tobes Group to you, welcome home.
Looking at you all the time goes by. Do you mind if I stay by your side? Just looking at you all the time goes
Out here on the Central Coast, people do things differently. That's why, for over 40 years, Montecito Bank and Trust has never offered a one-size-fits-all loan or mortgage, because we're not a factory, we're a bank. So along with our highly skilled bankers and 24/7 digital banking from anywhere, we personalize all of our loan solutions. We don't believe anything should come out of a cookie cutter, unless you're making cookies. Montecito Bank and Trust. Behind every great community is a great bank.
So we're back in the tasting room. Had a great visit up at the vineyards. So what are we going to be tasting?
We are now moving into our reds. So I'm going to start you with our Articondo. This is our 2014 Articondo. It's definitely a weird name, and I get that. We get a lot of people that come in here and they say, you know, I know that you have this wine that I really like. I think it's called Anaconda. I'm like, okay, you know what, as long as you remember that you liked it,
That's right.
that's fine. But Articondo is actually my great-grandfather's name.
Oh,
Yeah, so my dad's dad, who came over from Pisa, Italy in the early 1900s, and with his wife Affiora Tanucci, and they got on the boat and came over here to get started in the New World, and they ended up in Minneapolis. And when my dad was a little boy, he would go out there and spend a lot of time in the summer with his grandparents, and he has these wonderful memories of being in the garden with his grandfather. That was Articondo's real passion, was being in the garden and just spending time. That was kind of how he, spent his Sundays. Instead of going to mass, he would actually go and spend his time talking to God in the garden. And then his wife, Alfiora, would make these wonderful Italian meals from these fresh foods that were coming out of the garden. So that was the other memory that my dad has, is Alfiora making these raviolis using a whiskey glass to shape the pasta and that sort of stuff. So they were these really strong memories for him. And then, decades and decades later, here we are in California, we've got this property, and we've decided to start planting vineyards out there, and because there was nothing out there. So when they started, churning up the soil to put in the irrigation lines and start planting the vines and put in the trellising, my dad would smell that kind of wet, freshly churned soil and just mentally be transported back into the garden with his grandfather.
Right.
So from the very beginning, it was important to him to do a wine that was an homage to his grandfather, and that is where the Articondo came from.
Great.
I'll show you a little bit here. So the main rule that we have, the main guideline that we've been given from my parents with regards to the Articondo is because of Alfiora and the amazing meals that she was making, they want it to always be a very food-friendly wine. So that's the thing that we're always trying to think of when we're making this blend, is how can we make this something that's really going to bring out some beautiful flavors in the foods.
So how would you explain the aromatics in this?
I think that it's beautiful aromatics. 2014 was a phenomenal vintage for us, and the wines that we're getting from the 2014 are really giving us beautiful aromatics, a lot of like spice and clove and leather, a little bit of almost like mocha or chocolate as well, and that follows through on the palate.
That's very good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, great-grandpa. Well, good. I think we have one more red to taste, and we'll be right back and enjoy some more of the wine from Grassini Family Vineyards.
When you see the car, the uniform, the badge, when you see the name, you understand that the right people are there to keep you safe. Case Detective Agency provides unmatched security for any business, residents, or individuals. When security is important, call Case. Investigation, consultation, or uniformed security personnel. Case Detective Agency. Questions answered, assets protected.
Digging around. Digging the ground. I got my spade, I got my hoe, I got my rake, and I'm ready to go. Digging the ground. Feeling good in the ground. I got my spade, I got my hoe, I got my rake, and I'm ready to go.
Get your garden ready to go with everything you need, from great plants to advice from the experts at La Sumida.
Everyone wants to know about Carlisle's Salon and Style Bar, so here's the inside skinny. Carlisle is where old Hollywood, a time and place where glamour was inspiring, meets new, as in the new you with a new do. Carlisle is that rare find where service and style really mean something. Come in and peruse the menu of services and choose what's right for you, and voila! You walk out with a smile in your style. Carlisle's Salon and Style Bar, home of timeless appreciation.
If you're going to cowboy up, there's only one place to do it right. Right on down to Jedlicka's. We carry the best in name brand Western wear, and you're sure to find just what you're looking for. Family owned and operated since 1932. Everything for you and your horse. Get it all at Jedlicka's. Visit us in Santa Barbara and Los Olivos.
So Katie, what are we going to try now?
Oh, now we're moving on to our Cabernet Sauvignon. This is the wine that definitely first got us noticed out there in Happy Canyon. When I first started going around about almost 10 years ago now and pouring wine for folks, they were kind of going, wait a minute, you must be confused. This is Santa Barbara. It's got to be a Pinot. I was like, no, we grew it. I know what it is. I promise you, it's a Cabernet. And Happy Canyon was a very new animal out there. We were only declared an AVA by the federal government in 2009. So it took a little while for people to kind of understand exactly how different the microclimate and the terroir is out in Happy Canyon versus the rest of Santa Barbara County. So now I think people have clued into it, they've understood it, and they really are just loving the Cabernet from Happy Canyon.
That's a beautiful label, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
What's the creation? Where did that come from?
Yeah, it's very unique. There are not very many. I challenge you to find another winery that is doing a screen printed bottle with a paper label on top of it. But my dad's cousin actually designed it. Yeah, another one of Articondo's family members, and he's a wonderful graphic designer, and we had him come out here and really spend time with us with the vineyard and in with the winery and with our entire family, so he could get an understanding of what we were trying to project in order to do that justice. And I think he really nailed it. He's incorporated a lot of the family in the label itself, and actually, so you'll notice there's a sort of a backwards 5 and a G in the shield there. And the reason for that, I am the oldest of 4 daughters. My mom and dad have been together for almost 50 years. So the 5 represents the 5 women in my dad's life.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and we're all supposed to be different little sparrows on the label as well, but we haven't really decided who's who there yet. My mom is a therapist, so I always say she's the bird that's like firmly planted, like holding on to something, got her feet on the ground, but everyone else is still sort of up in the air.
Well,
so
good.
yeah, so
That's
this
beautiful.
is our 2014 Cabernet, and again, 2014 was just a really wonderful vintage for us. The drought obviously had sort of taken hold, but while it's a scary and worrisome thing for us in Santa Barbara, it's definitely brought out some really beautiful wines in Santa Barbara County, the drought has. So whereas we're all a little nervous about it, it's the vines love it. They don't need a lot of water to begin with, and what's resulting from the drought is that we're getting these really beautiful concentrated berries that are just giving us really wonderful, elegant fruit for the wine.
What to describe for our viewers the
I know,
aromatics of this?
So this again, we're getting a lot of clove and spice, a little bit of leather. I grew up riding horses, so leather is always a wonderful smell to me in a wine, very comforting. I would say that's just some really dark fruit, especially on the palate. You get a lot of kind of dark blueberries and blackberries.
That was nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Well, we certainly enjoyed visiting with you and tasting your wine and visiting the vineyards. I mean, it's been a great pleasure, and well, we enjoyed it. I hope you did. Join us next week for another episode of Wine Country. Till then, cheers.
Cheers.